Borderville started as an idea of how we can best celebrate 35 years of the Flying Fruit Fly Circus. I guess how it grew and developed was into something that in the end became much bigger than just the Fruit Fly Circus. We're about contemporary circus and pushing the boundaries of contemporary circus and developing, projects for our time, but to understand where it came from and to understand some of that original circus culture, I think is essential.
We set up a clown workshop here and sent flyers out to all the schools, and the teachers will go, oh no, we can't have the kids being involved in this sort of foolery. And then we're sitting in the gutter being really dejected, and this kid rides past on a unicycle. Woomph, grabbed him. Another girl who John was billeted with, the daughter of the family, wanted to come. So we had two kids, two. So we trained these two kids to do magic and knockabout and clowning, really full-on clowning. So when we actually came the next year and set up the Murray River Performing Group, while Bomber and Lloyd were setting up the company, Mark and I went around to all the schools and started teaching basic routines and juggling and magic. And next thing you know, we've got the circus tent coming, and then Jim and Pixie arrived then with the tent, but they're hardcore circus people. Suddenly, Pixie's rigging an aerial rig and Tanya Lester's up there. Suddenly it's gone from just being this sort of silly throwaway idea. We've got a circus tent across the road. Got my hair standing up now.
We were asked to do an aerial act. And then, as I said, we wanted it not to be like a school concert. So then they said, well, you can make it into a circus. So we just took over. And we got a show on in 6 weeks.
So their opening, there was a great big queue through Hobbletree Park. It really was all about the right people being in the right place at the right time, wasn't it? Mickey Ashton.
Gordon Wheeler, who'd worked with everybody. Loretta, who was a Tivoli contortionist.
There's Boris Lee Connolly, musical
the
director,
music, of course.
And the Banana Band. And the kids would be out the back warming up, and the overture would start, and they'd all be just so excited. It was just lovely.
We put on the second show a year after the first one, and it had a life of its own. And a fellow came from Canada, and he said, I'm going to take this idea back to Vancouver and see what happens. It eventually evolved that we actually put the tent on an aeroplane and all the kids and went and did a show in Canada.
The International Children's Festival in Vancouver was, and still is, a really prestigious children's festival internationally, and they wanted the fruit flies to be there. I was like 15 and Tanya was even younger, and there's lots of kids different ages. But I just remember being incredibly excited, unbelievably sort of like, I can't believe we're going to Canada. So I think that was the thing that put us on the map locally. So we'd been learning wonderful vaudevillian, traditional sort of Aussie larrikin style circus acts from Mickey and Jim and Pixie and other people. And then China had just begun to open politically to the Western countries, and a whole lot of people managed to create this amazing project where 7 of the Chinese acrobats from Nanjing came to Albury to teach. And some of those Chinese skills are part of that sort of staple, like the hoop diving, the chair balancing, the Chinese pole. It's still there after 30 years or something later. When the first Nanjing project happened, it was incredibly formal. They were literally still kind of wearing male suits with the collars and the hat with the little red star, and it was really, very formal. And what was fascinating about this Nanjing project was when the young Chinese acrobats arrived, they were like these funky, groovy kind of young people with, you know, very Western clothes, with their kind of iPads and their iPhones. And there was, you know, that same wonderful exchange between the kids and the Chinese where they're communicating without spoken language. Really quickly, the communication channels between the kids and the Chinese, it just works.
The Nanjing project was extraordinary. It was 2 weeks that the 5 Chinese acrobats spent here with NICA, the National Institute of Circus Arts in Melbourne. They had 5, I think, of their students also as part of this project. One extraordinary performance at Borderville, and now they're all in Melbourne for an opening at the Melbourne Festival. Borderville was very much about connecting with our fruit fly community. It was about connecting with our broader circus community, the local community here in Albury, Wodonga, and it was about some really interesting and innovative partnerships. Through a hothouse theatre, we were able to bring a number of performances that would have been very difficult to do here in our big space, and they really came on board and helped to drive those performances. The beautiful cabaret performance by Micheline Van Houten. Opening a festival in Albury with a French cabaret singer. Well, she's Belgian, but she sings in French and Flemish. I thought was quite bold, actually, but there was a full house there, and people really embraced it and loved it.
Zonder liefde, warme liefde, ooit de wind, de stomme wind. Here and there and everywhere, the world is on fire. A little louder, come on. Padam, yeah, padam. D'être toujours comme un château. Mais don't be shy, come on. Padam, padam, padam.
Tom Flanagan, an ex-Fruit Fly, created this show Kaput. This was the first time he had the opportunity to play it in front of a home audience and also to perform in front of some of his heroes from the Fruit Flies, who are kind of legends, really. That was another really important element of Borderville, was to try and encourage former Fruit Flies to come back and show everybody you know, where they've been and what they've achieved in the time they've left the Fruities. Jessie and Lockie graduated 10 years ago and now have this amazing career. They were able to come back and show everybody what they're doing now. A little bit of shush was great to have as part of the program. One of our trainers, Stuart Christie, came up with the idea a couple of years ago to turn the Albury Library Museum into a circus vaudeville cabaret club. And he put together a big vaudeville package that featured a lot of current Fruit Fly trainers and former Fruit Flies, and was a real party night. Borderville was one of the big key themes around the idea for the weekend, and probably of everything that we did, a little bit of shush captured the Vaudeville spirit the best.
Ladies and gentlemen, Flippism!
Flippism's great because it's the culmination of a year's work by 5 of our graduating artists from last year. I felt what Flippism really represented was the future.
Like all good fruit, the balance of life is in the ripe and ruin.
Jodie really took 35 Live on, and you know, as Jodie does, the ideas exploded and it became a celebration of everything that the Fruit Flies is and, you know, wants to be.
35 Live was a show that celebrated the 35-year history of the Flying Fruit Fly Circus, but it was very much creatively revolved around the now, and it was the idea of kind of allowing the young artists who are enrolled now to work closely with graduates of the past and founders of the company and really start to learn about the history of the organisation with, I guess, the creative premise that if them as young artists, performing artists of the company now, have got a better understanding and better appreciation of the history of what it is that they're promoting and that they are, it's going to make them stronger artists, and it's going to build a much stronger culture around everything that the Fruit Flies and everybody that's been part of the Fruit Flies have worked so hard to create over the years.
I think it was extraordinary, and it was so well supported and it exceeded all our expectations. I think we really demonstrated that a circus and theatre festival can work here, that there's a market for it. You know, we could have sold 35 Live and Nanjing Project probably another 3 times over.
It's been really amazing for me as the artistic director of the company to meet a lot of the founders of the company. I feel like in a lot of ways that personal connection that I was able to create has really helped me feel even stronger in terms of being the artistic director of the company now, and really supported, and that's been a really beautiful part of the process also.
Good evening and welcome to this special anniversary show, 35 Live!
The sense of family has continued. There are still a lot of people around, like myself, from those really early days. So the kind of history and the continuum of history has remained. It's still a family.
I think it definitely strengthened the culture and the understanding and the respect. And I think we're going to see all of those attributes feed into, from here on, the kind of richness and the strength of the community in general.
Really, nothing's changed. It still has this same sense of energy and joy that I think must have been felt back in the big top across the road in 1979. And it is still ordinary kids doing extraordinary things.
favourite bit?
The end. Enjoyed every minute of it. I thought the show was awesome.
It was only made possible through really fantastic support of lots of individuals and companies and artists indeed who just wanted to come and be a part of it. So I would love to say thank you to everyone who was a part of it. Thank you to Albury Wodonga for supporting it. Let's hope that we've started something.